Hello.
Hey.
Trying to. I gotta remember to look at the camera.
Yeah,
I want to look down here.
So, looking right at you guys.
Isaac and Kurt here at the poorhouse in downtown Valparaiso. I love having the glass back here with looking through. It makes it look like we're in a big city.
It looks pretty cool, doesn't it? Yeah. Oh yeah, but this is just.
It's not. It's just a little Valpo. It just looks like it because of the location.
Yeah. Your poorhouse. You're having one of their many drinks that they have available down here.
I don't know if you can hear the radio in the background, but it's going too.
I hope so. I get a little bit of background music.
Yeah. I don't know. I can't see the speaker thing anymore, so I really can't tell. I'm going to move this off the end broadcast button just so we don't accidentally push it.
Cool.
Yeah, just in case. So,
RG and Jordan are on assignment right now.
Yeah, they're out. I'm not. They're both with clients, actually.
Meeting with clients.
My goodness. What are they thinking?
I don't know what they're
Priorities. Jeez.
Meeting with clients, taking care of them. Jordan's one up in Chicago right now. RG's got one up in Valparaiso.
Yeah.
Yeah. Out about doing it.
So either that's good or we're losers. One of the two.
I'm really good at scheduling. I make sure I set the time.
That's priority. Priority. Now, I wasn't here last week, but that's because it was my wife's birthday, and that takes priority.
Right. We gave you a little bit of trouble for that, but honestly,
happy wife,
pretty
happy
good.
life, man.
You really
got to keep it going that way.
If you have a great law firm, but a terrible relationship with your wife, there's bigger issues there. It's going to affect your work too.
Well, there's bigger issues, and that's that she wants an old English sheepdog, and it's just not going to happen. She says it's actually going to happen, and I said no, it's not. And I keep telling her next husband will like it, and he'll get it, but it's kind of a personal inside joke about that. I'm sure she's sick of hearing it, but it's funny as all get out. So
how big do those dogs get?
You know, they get big. I think the females are a little bit smaller. One of our friends has one named Luke that's just like a bull in a china shop. I mean, it just seems to knock over everything. It's all bumbling. It's 100 and some odd pounds. It's huge. And I like a medium sized dog, like a 60, 80 pound dog. Yeah, but she wants one of these big ones, and it's like, oh goodness. Although she's willing to get the female that's a little smaller. She just wants the fuzzy one. I don't like the hair and clean up. It's just such a mess. She promises she'll take care and do the hair and do it. I'm like, okay.
She'll clean it and feed it and take care of it. And then I get to come over and play with it. So I don't see a downside.
We'll see how long it takes. How many times I have to tell her to go out and scoop the yard before I mow the yard.
Can you maybe house sit a dog or foster one or something like that?
We've had dogs before.
You've had experience.
Yeah, we've had dogs. Just it's the fact that it's an old English sheepdog, and that they're very furry and sheddy, and
that was kind of sheddy. They shed a lot.
Yeah, they're kind of bumbling idiots of the dog world.
Love those kind of dogs. They're always just happy about everything. They're just bumping all over. Jealous of those dogs. Live that kind of life.
It really is, yeah. They are. Hakuna Matata to the extreme, right?
Yeah. Love it.
So, anyway, so we'll see where that goes. So,
but today,
the dogs are expensive.
They are.
And too expensive.
So expensive.
Could lead you to bankruptcy. What a segue. Transition. Total accident. This is awesome. Right. No, I just wanted to give out a little bit of information, try to talk a little bit about this week, and just some general kind of. I'm working on and I'm going to preempt this, so just so you guys know, I'm working on a document that's going to be a giveaway. People can come in, and we're going to have a website link at some point up here. It's like a white paper. And are you making fun of me? My hand gestures and stuff?
I can't wait.
I'm so excited.
I can't get so excited. I can't wait.
It's nearly done. We're waiting on a couple different things as far as websites and landing page and things like that, so people can come in to put their email address on, and then they'll get a copy of this document. It's a PDF, and it's really cool. It talks a little bit about bankruptcy and just, is it something that's right for you? Is it not? What is it? Is it really something to be scared of? Is it really a good option? Kind of just the general, what the heck is this? And so, I don't want to go into too much detail here, so you'll definitely want to get that if it's something that you're not sure about. But one of the things to talk to me about, and a lot of people have questions on it, is what are the different chapters of bankruptcy mean? They hear people say, Chapter 7, Chapter 13, Chapter 11, Chapter 12. There's all these different things, and there are different types. So the book is the magazine, the ebook. Let's call it the ebook. The ebook.
An ebook.
The ebook is centered primarily on Chapter 7 and Chapter 13. Those are the two most common personal bankruptcy for an individual. Those are the most common. Chapter 7 is what's called a total liquidation, and that's basically where everything just kind of, the debts go away completely. There's no payments made. It's like, this is what I got, this is what debts I have. But there's some exemptions, they balance things out, and then they, sell off stuff that's got to get sold off. Some stuff yes, some stuff no. The ebook goes into more detail. See how I did that? Yeah.
Yeah, look at
and,
that.
The Chapter 13 is kind of a forced repayment plan. So that's typically going to be between 3 and 5 years that you will be on this plan. And you basically make your payments each month to the trustee. They disperse the money to everybody. There's a whole list of all the debts and who's going to get paid what and when and how to do it. It's all set up, put together. And then the trustee takes and pays it out of that, and it gets paid off over time. So it depends. There's some different things here because some people typically, like somebody's like their house is getting ready to go in foreclosure and they want to save their house, but the bank won't work with them. They're typically looking at a Chapter 13. However, if you've got a lot of that and you don't have a lot of income, there are ways in a Chapter 7 to still be able to keep your house.
Oh, wow.
So there's options that you can do. There's some different things that you can do there, some different strategies, and you'll have to wait for the ebook to find out what I'm talking about.
Now, if I wanted this magical ebook, how much am I going to have to pay for this?
$0 and 0 cents.
What? Why not?
Actually, you have to get something for it. You have to give me your email address. And I won't bug you. I'm just going to, it's basically what I want, because I want people to get the information they need and then be able to follow up with them to see if they have questions and see if we can help. Because the ebook's not going to answer everything. All it's going to do is give you an idea and say, yes, okay, I kind of understand. I kind of do need to look into this. So, hey, Kurt, can I come meet with you to talk about it? Yeah, let's see if this is right for you or not, or if there's another way we can do things and help you out. Maybe it's just you need somebody to help you budget. Yeah, I've had somebody that thought they needed a bankruptcy. They came in, and it turns out that, unfortunately, they were giving away too much money to friends and family.
I remember that one.
And they needed someone to help them budget and set up a budget and do things. And then there's ways we can do that, and we can help with that. So, it's really cool. I'm very excited about where this is all going. And I actually picked up some new website names, the domain names today, for the bankruptcy stuff. So what I'm going to try to do is have the landing page for this. It's going to eventually go to let you get the book, and then it'll kick you over to the CCSKLaw.com website. But the landing page is going to be on these other websites so that we can get some little SEO benefit. Yeah. So I'm excited. There's nothing on the websites now, so I'm not going to give out the names, but they're really cool, and I think it's going to be pretty neat for us. So.
Yeah. Well, I know that there's definitely some alternatives there about all other than just straight up bankruptcy, because I remember we worked on one where the guy actually had all the money sitting in the account, but he had just not been paying anything. So he needed a plan.
Well, and that one was a little different because the house had actually already been foreclosed. Basically, they got a judgment against the home, but it was a default judgment, so we were able to reverse that.
Yeah, we did. We got it reversed.
We were able to negotiate reverse and got everything taken care of.
Yeah. So we were able to work out a payment plan that worked out at the end as if you'd just been making a normal payment.
It was actually pretty amazing.
Yeah, it really worked out well. Yeah. It took some work, but we were able to get that done. We
did not promise that result for everybody, but this one it worked. It was worked out. So it was really fantastic. Yeah.
So but it's a good example that there are times when instead of just filing for bankruptcy, you can negotiate these things.
Yes. You know what? And here's the thing. You always have bankruptcy to fall back on. So I suggest and urge people that if I look at your situation and I sit down with you and I say, hey, this is an option that you can try this, it's not going to hurt you to try. If you try it and you can make the payments and we can set things up for you to be able to get out of everything and get around it without a bankruptcy, it might take a little more time. But at the same time, it's going to save you from having to do bankruptcy. Right. And then on the other hand, somebody might say, well, yeah, I want to try that, but, these medical bills are just eating me and I can't concentrate. I'm stressed. I'm not sleeping at night. I mean, your health can be affected. So at that point, it might make sense to just say, yeah, we're going to go ahead and file the bankruptcy and just get it done, wiped out, and move forward. So, but then in that case, I'll try to kind of give you some ideas on how to budget and help things move forward. So, yeah, it's pretty cool. There's a lot of fun strategies and stuff to talk about. Just the big thing that I wanted to get across, and especially with this this ebook is that, number one, most people feel anxiety and they feel bad, like they're doing something wrong with the bankruptcy. Yeah. This was written into law for a reason.
Right.
It is there. It is there to protect you from getting into a bad situation. I don't care if you just went out and you partied and you spent up all the money. You made a mistake, okay? Now, I want you to learn from that and not do it again. But learn from your mistake, get past it, move on, and get off to something better. I mean, the statistics show that a lot of people spend 4 to 6 years trying to pay off debt in a haphazard way before the creditor calls and everything get to the point where they just can't handle it anymore. And that's typically what puts them over the edge, is creditor calls and things like that.
Yeah.
But sometimes, you know what, you look at the situation, you can analyze it, and you can say, look, you can try to do it this way for a little while, but if you're not seeing any results, then it makes sense to say, maybe we need to pull that trigger and just rip it off like a Band-Aid real quick. And, when the debt's gone and you got your full income you're working with again, you can start to put a little aside for savings, put a little aside for college or retirement or whatever you're looking to do. There's different strategies there that we can deal with moving forward.
Well, one of the most common debts that come about, medical bills.
Oh,
which you could not have. I mean, you didn't go out and party or anything, or maybe you were partying and then you fell on something, or whatever. But medical.
No. And that's the thing is, I think to me, the people I talk to that have medical bills, they don't feel any kind of, they don't feel like guilty about wanting to do bankruptcy because of the medical bills. This is something that was completely out of their control. It just got hit. They got hit with this disease or this diagnosis, and they had to do tests, and that stuff is so crazy expensive.
Oh, especially cost of insurance.
Yeah, the cost of insurance and everything else. Or something happens and they lose their insurance, and then they get this bill right afterwards and realize, hey, I didn't plan for this. I don't have an idea of what's going on. I don't know how to do this. They don't typically have the guilt associated with it. The guilt comes with they really want to try to pay it off, and everybody has this real deep sense of, I've got to do the right thing, and I appreciate that. And I respect the hell out of that.
Yeah.
But at some point, you've got to say, you're putting your life on pause. And if you've been a few years and you just it's just not working, your income's not going up, you're not able to cover it, the debt keeps growing, or the interest in the debt, the payments are just barely keeping up with interest payments. At some point it might make sense to go ahead and do it. But the thing to remember too is that there's a lot of bankruptcy firms that you'll go to, and no matter what, they'll want to just shove a bankruptcy in the door. And that's not us. We're looking for the most optimal solution for you. So, definitely give us a call, and we'll let you know, of course, when the ebook comes out. And hopefully within the next week or two here. It's done. It's ready to go.
Yeah.
So, it's hopefully real close.
Just polishing up the last, aesthetics of it, really.
Yeah. We're waiting on some approval for some of the pictures that are in it, that type of thing. Oh, so, my designer guys are still looking at it. Oh, it looks sharp. I'm really pumped about it.
So. Oh, yeah, me too.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Awesome. That's awesome. Well, one of the big topics that we talked about was negotiating things.
Yes.
Right? Specifically, you can negotiate with creditors and such, and
you can, and that's a big part of it. Maybe that's an option too.
Yeah.
But sometimes that doesn't go that well.
Oh, negotiations. Oh, I'm telling you.
Tell me what you think about negotiations.
Oh, I'm about to tell you something. I'm about to tell you a whole lot.
Kids, cover your ears.
Okay, I won't get that bad. I won't get that bad.
Oh, we're getting on the shake here.
It's been, I'll give you 5 seconds to mute it if you're not ready for it. No. So
it's not that bad.
I never won't do it that bad. But really, negotiations. So what we all really do is mostly transactional work, right? We don't step into court much, really. We step into court if we have to,
but we try to work things out outside of that.
Try to work things out, negotiating, where both sides have a point in mind that they want to reach, but they need help reaching that point.
Right.
Negotiation. I do a lot of negotiating. A lot of times it's business acquisitions. A lot of times it's working towards. Sometimes it's partner disputes where you have two partners that they can't quite work something out, and they know they want to get to the end and kind of part ways, but they don't want to go to litigation. They want to kind of get things settled. And then sometimes I have even employment. Where somebody's leaving their current job or leaving their position on the board of directors or an officer position or just a regular employee, they're leaving.
Those things don't mean, so even if you have good documents with your company and set up, it doesn't just kind of simply come apart. No. There's still a negotiation process.
There's emotions, there's money, which gets worse when there's emotions involved, trying to negotiate all that. It can be very helpful just to have a mind with common sense saying, look, let's look at our final goal. Keep our main goal in mind, because even when you're in the middle of a lot of emotions, it can get really messy. So keeping that end goal in mind and working together to get that goal is what I'm here for. Stay calm.
So you remove yourself emotionally from the situation because you're not involved. This person over here is, this person over here is, and you're saying, okay, look, take all the emotions out of it, take all the details, look at the straight logic of it.
This is the point of it, right? And these are the law parameters too, because there's always going to be legal parameters, specifically like with regarding contracts. If you have a contract with that person, if you're buying the business and it's a purchase agreement. If it's a franchise, you got the franchise disclosure document, the FDD, as well as the franchise purchase agreement, as well as any purchase that might go on as well. And then you have the, and if it's an employment, you got an employment contract, or a partner, you might have an operating agreement. If it's an LLC where you have members, or if it's a partnership, so partnership agreement, or if it's maybe shareholder agreement, it's in a corporation for the shareholders. But usually there's some kind of agreement in place, and if you don't have the agreement, well, it can make things worse, but there's usually default rules that
get the agreement if you can first.
Preventative measures are always best. You hear me talk about it all the time, right? Contracts are there to lay out your expectations and then the accountability if someone fails to meet those expectations.
Right.
Because even small problems can turn into really big things. If you've already talked about them beforehand, then when the problem comes up, you say, actually, we already talked about this. We put it in this agreement. And they can go, oh, you're right. We did do that. Okay, well, all right. And then they move forward with it, right? Maybe not always happy, but they kind of understand and they work through it. But having how you handle, possible problems that come up, and then dispute resolution as well. Do you have a mediation clause, maybe in your LLC?
Well, because it's always easier to do that up front when everybody's happy and getting along.
Always easier.
It's always easier to do that.
You got to know what holes are in your bucket before you put a lot of water in there. Otherwise, you'll lose a lot of time and money. I say that all the time.
Trying to patch that bucket when it's full.
Exactly. You got to really vet those and really take a look at that bucket and see what kind of holes are in there before you fill it with water. And so,
it reminds me of a guy I used to work years ago in sales, and there was a flooring sales company, and there was a general manager from the branch in Texas, and he used to always come up with these weird Texas sayings like "happier than a pig in mud" and stuff like that. And just the way you were talking about the bucket, it just reminded me when I had to laugh. It was just,
oh man, I should start saying that with the southern drawl or southern accent there.
Oh,
before you fill that one, bucket with water. Before you fill water, make sure you know what holes are in that bucket.
And since RG just doing this, we can say it's all perfectly legal. That's a commercial joke from.
Was it Domino's?
I think it was a Domino's pizza. It was like a pizza guy. And he's like,
it's all perfect. Or something.
Yeah, he's like, I'm a pizza lawyer.
I'm just a small town pizza lawyer.
And it's all perfectly legal.
It's all perfectly legal. Oh, I love that commercial.
Anyway, back not to take away from the negotiation background.
It's worth taking away from the negotiation round. But either way, you normally have a main point in mind of where you want to reach, and even if you are begrudged because of certain emotional things that come up, by keeping the big picture in mind and negotiating in good faith, you can get there. However,
some people don't.
Yeah, right. The day I had with regard to just people not working in good faith, just not actually working towards that goal. They might say they are, but their actions. They draw lines.
It's that passive aggressive kind of thing, like, oh yeah, we're really trying, but then they're kicking you under the table.
100%.
Yeah.
And it's never good when you get an email like I got earlier today that starts out with, "Now I'm not a lawyer, but I already know this isn't going to be good.
I'm not giving tips at the bar.
Yeah, but it's all perfectly legal." And I'm like, no, it's not.
No, not really.
No, it's not perfectly legal. What you're saying is not in good faith, and it's actually in breach of the contract.
Right.
So, I did step back for a few minutes. I had to take a few breaths because my job is to stay neutral with this. And just when people won't work together in good faith, then when you're not, and frankly, a synonym for not working together in good faith and trying to you're not being an adult.
Yeah.
Like when you reach the point where, there are honest disagreements between adults where you come to that point you can't agree to them, and that's fine.
Sure.
But when you start not acting in good faith or acting passive aggressively or not doing what you specifically said you were going to do, you are not handling yourself like an adult. You're being unreasonable. right?
Yeah.
The reasonable man, as we talk about all the time in law school.
That was like the reasonable person standard.
The reasonable person. And when you go into this, I mean, I usually expect both parties are going to be reasonable, even with emotions involved.
And here's the thing, and I'm gonna kind of elaborate on this a little bit, but when you're in a negotiation, and I've done lots of negotiations over my life, I've done a lot of this. When you're in negotiations, people cannot come to a resolution and still be okay. I mean, they can still be adult. They can still be negotiating in good faith and just not get to an agreement because they can't agree on some of these terms getting to it. That's the difference. That's not what he's talking about here. He's not talking about a situation where, man, we tried and they just didn't want to come up with this number and we didn't want to come down to that number and we couldn't make it happen, or they didn't want to add this and we wanted to add that, and for some reason it just wouldn't work, but we agreed that this was the goal, but we just couldn't find a way to get there together. That's not what he's talking about. What he's talking about is somebody says, yes, this is the goal I want to get to, and every step towards that goal, no, or they're changing the goal. They're saying this is the goal, but this is what they're really going for. Or I guess I should say this way. This is what they're really going for. They say, we want this. So everybody comes down to this, well, no, we really want this. Wait, what?
No,
it's confusing. Yeah, it's moving the ball, right? It's like a big switch. So they call this in sales. Like, okay, yeah, you're going to buy this nice fancy car. Darn, I don't really have that going. It's just the same, but it's a piece of junk. I'm not going to tell you that. Yep, it's the same thing.
And sometimes it is like people doing it on purpose, where they are purposefully doing bait and switch. But other times it's self-delusion.
Yeah.
Where honestly, they didn't even think about it, but like when you bring up these particular points, that all of a sudden the balls move because I didn't think about that, or oh wow, this is you know what? No, this is I want this taken care of. We have not talked about that at all.
Yeah.
Where is this coming from? Out of the blue, right? But honestly, when you start not being able to handle your own basic reasonableness standards, when you keep kicking that ball, or you are acting in bad faith, when you actually are not putting the due diligence of your thoughts into your actions and what you're saying in your negotiations. I mean, take 5 minutes, take a breath, call an advisor if need be.
Absolutely.
I mean, please. I don't like getting the thing. No, I'm not an attorney, but I would rather talk to your attorney.
Right.
Because at that point you have two neutral parties on the outside who aren't fighting zealously, but both parties can have.
You're always going to try to get your client's best interest taken care of, and the other attorney will too. But
at the end of the day, you have a main goal in mind, and that's like not go to court.
Right.
But if someone's going to act in bad faith, so you're asking for it to go to court.
That gets expensive.
Yeah.
Not fun.
No, I'm not a doctor.
I think RG must have put that in there since we didn't type it. So.
Yeah. No, RG
doctor.
Type that in. I'm not a doctor, but.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You're in Chicago and a guy walks up to me on the street and says, I'm a doctor, man. Can I help you? No. The answer is no.
Don't say. Oh, no. What have I done? I got to go.
Sorry.
Oh, yeah. RG was just joining, though, but we already did our small town pizza lawyer joke.
Yep. He saw it. He was on. That's why I did.
He was on at that time?
He was on at that time. That's why I did.
It's all perfect.
There you go. All for RG.
All for RG.
So we talked a little bit tonight about bankruptcy. We talked a little bit about negotiation.
Oh, yeah.
So they're tough things on both of those. It can be difficult. It can be difficult. But that's why it makes sense to have somebody that can kind of walk you through it that's been there before. And if it comes to that point, again, that's where you get to that point where this isn't going to work. It's got to go litigation. It's got to go litigation. That happens.
It does. It does. And you know what? A lot of times at that point, I've been so involved in the process, I'm more likely to be called as a witness sometimes. So you get a litigation attorney.
Right. Because we got some people we work with that do that type of thing real well. So it's always good.
Great trusted people that we work with on a lot of this stuff. But we do everything we can. And a lot of things can be mediated. A lot of things can be settled. There's so much that can be taken care of both. A lot of times in bankruptcy and just other negotiations.
And the thing with bankruptcy is that there's not really a ton of negotiation up front. And then most of the time, there's two parts. There's the initial bankruptcy stuff, and then there's the litigious side. If something gets, there becomes some sort of a confrontational issue.
Yeah.
Kind of like your guardianship situation.
Oh, I love those guardianships.
So it's just one of those things that's, there's a couple different angles to it. But that's again why there's so much we can't fit it into a 30-minute broadcast, obviously. But it's good to talk about it a little bit. Just talk about negotiation a little bit. Having some drink here at the pour. Isaac's having a drink. I'm not drinking right now. So he's having some drink at the poorhouse here, which I really like this place. I love the vibe here.
I've always been a fan of it.
I'm going to turn the camera and give a quick view.
Yeah, go for it.
All right, because we only got a couple minutes left and we got to go, but I want you guys to see this place. So if you haven't been here before.
If you haven't been here, definitely worth checking out. Great aesthetic feel.
It does. It kind of makes me feel like a city bar.
Yeah,
It does. It kind of feels like it, but I like the brick wall, and I've always felt that the brick walls, the way the lights are, the little wire lights like that, it's kind of cool.
I'll tell you, the customer service here is fantastic. We love working with the people here.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, yeah, they're fantastic.
Plus, it's just a cool system because you can buy this beer.
Oh, yeah.
With you get a little card,
Get a card,
and then you can try different types and so it's really fun. It's kind of a neat deal.
yeah, and you put it in, and you just fill it up to the point that you want, and it charges you per ounce.
Yeah.
So you can try a whole bunch of different ones, and it's a great testing. It's not the bar you go to on the weekend to party all day long. It's the one you go to really sample beer, have good conversation.
Conversations.
Oh yeah, it's a great feel.
So awesome.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much. Glad you were able to make it on the RG a little bit.
Yeah.
Check us out at CCSKLaw.com.
Let me enjoy the rest of your show.
Awesome.
Thanks, Hardy.
Have a good one, man.
Yeah.
Everybody else, thank you for joining us, or thank you for watching this later. Check us out at CCSKLaw.com. Look for the bankruptcy ebook. Absolutely. Maybe it's not for you, maybe it's for a friend, but you might be able to direct them to it once we get it going here now. So, but we will see you next week with everybody.
See you next week.
All right. Have a good one.
All right.
Now we can hit the end button.